Alright, boys and girls and everybody who watches our videos, what we're going to do today, it's kind of like a little pricing detail list on this truck. Not sure if we're going to go into just like Cummins swaps in general or this specific truck. As of right now, we're going to do this specific truck if you were to replicate it 100%. This is, by title, a 1973 Ford F-250. Now, back then they weren't really considered high boys or anything like that, but they kind of got that terminology because they sat about 3 inches higher or 2 inches higher than the regular F-250. Now, the cab, if you know anything about these this generation of trucks, is actually a 79, and the bed is actually off of a 75. Not for a high boy. We're gonna give it a second, let these motorcycles go by. Always straight pipe your Harley, always. So if you're trying to find a high boy, which is a little bit hard, you're gonna look for a 68 4x4. I think that's the right year, don't quote me exactly on that. 68 to 77 and a half, I know that's right. That's when they made high boys, and the main distinction is the divorce transfer case. So if you're trying to find that, you're gonna be for a bad example with no engine, you know, kind of a little bit rusty, you're going to be around here at least for 4,500 bucks. Now, if you find a really nice one, no rust, no problems, everything's pretty pristine with an engine and everything, and you want to come and swap that, good for you if you have the money. But that's going to be probably around 9,500 bucks. Now, that's probably worth it if everything on the carriage is brand new, and you just want to tear out that. Usually they came with 360s, very rarely came with 390s, but tear that 360 out, resell it, you know, make your money back, whatever. Right around there, I got this truck, I was gifted it. Obviously, it was basically my first driving truck on the road. But for poops and giggles, we'll say 4,500 bucks. I paid, or somebody paid, so we're right around 7 right now. So $7,000 for engine, transmission, and pickup truck. The rest of it, wheels and tires. The tires themselves were Humvee tires. We got those for 600 bucks, 7,600 bucks. Then for your advanced adapters, engine mounts, which is for this truck was exactly the fitment we needed. Now I would 100% recommend them. They're expensive, but they're worth it. They're about 300 bucks. So we're at 7,900, you know, still not awful. But then you kind of get into the little nitty-gritty stuff. Since this was an automatic, I had to get an automatic shifter, and the automatic shifter was 100 bucks. You know, whatever. That was just off of, it's a TCI. I think it's just the slam shifter. It's cheap. You know, that's what I was going for. So 100 bucks. That got us right up there to, let's gonna say around 8,000 with the rest of the little transmission details. Like I got a little pigtail for the overdrive. Just little parts for transmission, also your fluids, 8,000. Now, then you get into your transmission mount. Now, if you're like us and you use every part you can off the donor truck, that's good. You really should. Then that will save you a lot of money. But if not, you're probably, the advanced adapter sells one of those as well. And if I remember right, those are like 500 bucks. Quite a bit of money, but probably worth it for, you know, it's right. Then you go to your drive shaft. For a custom drive shaft, we didn't pay much because the drive shaft's tiny, 150 bucks. So around about 8,700, not awful, but 8,700 bucks. Other than that, we really did not put much else into the engine yet or transmission. All we've done is basically a stock engine and a stock truck. If you're gonna do this in any other vehicle, say you're gonna put it in, some guy said he's gonna put one in a Cadillac that we on our Instagram. You're basically just gonna take that engine transmission right out of that, and your Cummins swap's gonna be broad range. It's gonna be like $4 grand. That's very simple. $4,000, engine trans, everything you ever needed, transmission, shifter, fluids, stuff like that. You're gonna be around $4,000. So add that to whatever you wanna put it in. Pretty simple. Other than that, with this truck, we did the hood scoop. That didn't cost me anything. It came from my backyard. Or not hood scoop, the hood pipe. And we also had the fuel cell in it already. We also had a bunch of parts for it. This truck right here, as it sits, is what we have into it. We have about, if I paid for the truck, about $10,000 give or take. If I don't put in the truck, we have about This truck was not as bad as it looks on the outside. It's pretty much rust free after we did the patch panel on the back, other than a little bit minimal on the bottom. But I'd say this truck's worth about $5,000. I have about $5,000 into the full Cummins swap and build and everything in this 73 Ford truck. You guys can take that information as you want, but that is how it worked out with us. If you want to build something just like it, that'd be awesome. Just don't paint it red and green, because I want mine to be the only red and green one. Hey, so I can distinguish it.
Open the hood for us.
Oh, darn it. I did forget the radiator.
How much is the radiator?
Well, if you're lucky enough and you get a good donor truck, you really don't need a radiator because you can reuse the radiator you got. But we weren't lucky enough, we had a hole. So this radiator right here was worth $200 on Amazon. Very nice radiator. I've never had a problem with it. All right, so if you endured all of that and you actually care about this truck and this channel in general, so here's my plan for the future of this truck. Now, I know in the last video I kind of said it's gonna stay how it's gonna stay, and there is a good chance that happens. But if it was my, if I got my decision, and I will have my decision probably, what needs to be changed out, we need to get intake gaskets, we need to get a different we need to get a different cone filter because that one rubs on that alternator and likes to melt. We also need to get an overflow for the radiator, and then we're gonna go through the full brake system just because I can, and I want this to, I have never changed the brakes on this since I've been driving it, and that's been a long time. So it's probably about ready for all the maintenance for that. It also needs a radio in it just because, you know, it's kind of nice having that. I'm gonna take it to a shop, and I either want fourth gear, or if I find a cheap manual transmission, we will be manual swapping it. As much as I hate to take this back apart, because I really don't want to take it apart, because I really like having this truck on the road and driving it around and around 365. So I'd rather just have them mess with the transmission to get it to go to overdrive. Now this truck is very sketchy to drive at 60 miles an hour, just because the tires and suspension are not anywhere close to new. Now, speaking of the suspension, I'd really like to put a new steering stabilizer on it because obviously it's probably wore out, as well as some new shocks. This rear shocks are pretty well rusty, and the front ones are too. They've had enough Cummins girth sitting on them for a while now, so they've about had it. So I'd like to put some nice Fox shocks on it. And then after that, we need to find some rims and tires for. I love the look of the wagon wheels. That's just what I've seen this truck my whole life with, and I know I'm going to be very sad to get rid of them. So we might stay with them and just paint them, and we'll have these for, I don't know, when we off-road the thing, if I ever get the chance to. We'll take it somewhere and go and do some wheeling with it. We need probably a different transfer case, and because I want to bump up the power in the engine, fuel pin needs to be larger. Maybe a different turbo, because we're probably going to use that turbo for a different build on the channel. So I'd like to go bigger turbo, but as you know, it likes to blow U-joints, and we're going to have to fix the U-joint angle problem, as well as the doggone transfer case is chain driven, and it will not take that much power, and I can promise that. So if we have to go with an Atlas, we're going to have to go with an Atlas, and that's another bunch of money. So if you know the pricing on all that stuff, it still has about another $10,000 I'd like to throw at this truck to make it really shine. And I just because it deserves it. It's been a very long-term player in my life, so she deserves it. She still needs a little bit of work, but if you know how to see beauty in anything, you'll know that this has a lot of sweat hours in it, and it's just a neat truck. It doesn't look like it on the outside, but it's a hell of a fun vehicle to drive around. It gets so many looks, so many thumbs up, and everybody loves this truck. I'm not just tooting the own horn, but you know, if you talk to an import guy, they like it. If you talk to a truck guy, they love it. If you talk to a muscle car guy, they like it. Everybody, you know, everybody can see the labor in it, and you know, they all enjoy just the pure ugliness of the truck. I hope you guys enjoyed the pricing out of our Cummins diesel. If you haven't yet, check out the full build of this sucker, and check out a couple other of our videos, because I can promise you that you'll probably enjoy them, especially the editing and pretty much everything else.